I've always been told from the beginning that the downfall of P&C is a lot of these clients and prospects will potentially leave you over $1 per month.
So our perception of it, right, being in the health and life space, I wonder what is perception versus reality sometimes, right? So like my perception is, especially over the last couple of years, that it's been a little rocky for a lot of P&C agents in particular. Is that perception real at all?
Yes. So we call it the hard market, and it's become a meme, but it is definitely true. Basically, carriers have really tightened their appetite, and rates have increased. So yeah, it's much harder to sell, and it's much harder to retain your book when California and Florida are almost impossible to insure anymore, and all over the country, rates are increasing 20% compared to last year. Now, the advantage is that your customer might shop around and they likely won't find anything better. But yes, so imagine going from 80% of my book used to renew every year with very little effort to the entirety of the book when we hit renewal wants to be reshopped, and having to have the conversation with every one of them. Like imagine the amount of time it takes for my service people to have the conversation with every one of them. Yeah, your insurance increased by 15%. And that is the market right now, right?
Tony, I've always had this perception, or what I've been told, and again, my disclaimer here, I've never sold a P&C policy. So this is just more the chatter that I'm hearing from others in the industry. But I've always been told from the beginning that the downfall of P&C is a lot of these clients and prospects will potentially leave you over $1 per month. That's what... Is there any truth to that? Any validity to that?
That is interesting.
Like, Progressive will save me $2 a month. See ya, I'm out.
Okay, so we definitely have. It's a different problem. The problem is that a significant percentage of P&C agents sell on price, and they are not. They're order takers that only know to sell on price, and we have done that disservice to ourselves. It's not even their fault; they just didn't get the right training, right? Yeah. If you sold it on price, you will lose it on price. That's definitely true.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
The really good P&C agents don't sell on price; they sell on coverage, on having you properly protected, and on relationship. But especially on coverage, especially on making sure that you are properly protected. Those have incredibly high retention, and they won't lose business on price. In fact, what will happen with them is when a newer price-focused agency does manage to get in front of your client and offers them a better price, the client doesn't switch. They come to you and say, "Hey, I'm being offered this. Help me understand it," and then you get to keep them, right? Whatever you need to do to keep them, but you get to keep them. Right. So no, I don't think P&C is any more likely to lose on price than other areas of the industry. It's just we have many of us that have only been trained to sell on price.
That totally makes sense.
So outside of underwriting, Tony, like, what are some other examples? Like you mentioned earlier about people that are in the industry, but maybe they're miscast. What are some other roles that people can pursue? Yeah. Like, so there's salesperson, there's underwriter, but what are some other examples?
There is a video on my YouTube channel. It's very easy to find. So you go to YouTube and you search for Insurance Nerds Tier List, TIER list. And over 11 and a half minutes, I go through 42 different jobs.
Wow.
And that's mostly just P&C, right? Because it's the word that I know. So basically, over on the carrier side, it takes product people, it takes actuaries, it takes premium auditors. Like there's a ton of jobs that unless you live inside a P&C carrier, you just never see and have no idea. And they're wonderful jobs, some of which are very detail-oriented, some of which are all about process improvement. So the majority of them have very little to do with sales, right? It's actually getting the thing to work so that we can pay you when a claim does happen. There's a ton of variety. In fact, my theory, and I'm not the only one that has said this, like many people have said, and I agree 1,000%, that within insurance, we have good jobs for just about anybody. And I would define a little bit more. I think that in insurance, we have good jobs for just anybody who has the skills for white collar employment. Likely there's a good place for you in insurance.
I love it.
Yeah. I think that's such a unique message, right? Because like
It is.
what we typically see people recommending into specifically insurance agents, but people that are struggling in some form or fashion in the industry, a lot of it is like, okay, well, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to fix your script, you need to fix that, you need to fix this. But like Glenn and I have had conversations on this show before where it's like it's almost like a forbidden thing to say in a sense in some circles, but like some people probably just aren't cut out to be agents or be salespeople.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sad to hear that that's a taboo. That should not be a taboo.
It is a taboo.
Right.
It is a taboo. For sure, it's a taboo.
And I totally get it. If you own an agency, you've got sales jobs and you've got service jobs, and that's about it. If it's big enough, you might have operations roles, but really it's
Right.
sales or service, right? And service is likely not a great career. And you likely have a harder time recruiting for salespeople that actually work out than service people. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. In your agency, if somebody's not cut out for sales, they're probably not going to be a fit for you, at least not long term. The reality is the majority of people are not cut out for sales. So let's make peace with that, right? If there's one thing that drives me insane about insurance, is our bad habit, and this happens more in life than it does in P&C. Our bad habit of, if you have a pulse and can pass the licensing test, we'll
hire you.
We'll hire you, right? And then for the life side has like a 4% survival rate. Like 90-some% of people do not survive to their third year. That is shameful. Like that is, not only are you not helping yourself, you are hurting the entire industry because each of those kids that you hire that don't make it will never come back to insurance, even though we could have had great jobs for them. So you're making it harder for the rest of us. And back in the 90s, you piss off one kid and he'll tell his 5 best friends. In the 2010s, 2020s, you piss off the wrong person, I'll tell my closest 20,000 followers, right? That's 20,000 people that will never work in insurance.
Absolutely.
So we need to completely reinvent how we hire the sales side. Add personality tests up front. Hire only the people that have a better than 50% chance of success, and invest in your training and mentorship, etc., so that you get that success rate better than 50-50.
Yeah.
How do I actually do that?
We see it all the time, though. There's so many agencies who just are like, hey, are you alive? Okay, check. Do you have a license? Check. Here you go. Here's your lead. Start working. And they don't care about anything else. They're just, seeing who sticks to the wall. They're throwing everyone at the wall, seeing who sticks.
Over on the P&C side, the 2 jobs that hire the most people entry level are claims, which is very hard, and personal lines sales at an exclusive agency. So like your State Farm is the worst on this. Your Allstate, your Farmers, they'll hire, at a large enough agency, they'll hire a bunch of kids, get them licensed and get them leads. And the survival rate is awful.
Yep.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing, right? Because like I remember I got into it was around when Clubhouse was popping off. It was insurance Clubhouses.
Clubhouse.
I couldn't even tell you who it was, but there was somebody that had a little bit of a following that kind of got into it with me on this topic in a Clubhouse meeting, and he was like, well, I would argue anyone can make it as an insurance agent because, he's like, anyone. It's all about their training. It's all about this. I'm like, dude, you sound dumb right now. I'm sorry. I'm like, because I think if you've worked with any,
I have so much nostalgia for Clubhouse right now. Late at night, just hovering over my phone, listening to everyone yell at each other. Oh my god!
It was one of the, but it's one of those things where it's like, for anybody that's worked with a large number of agents, you just know, like, no matter how good your training is, no matter how good your systems are, no matter how easy you make it for them, no matter how good of a teacher you are, there's going to be those people that just don't. It doesn't suit them. Doesn't match them.
There are people whose personality is just not for sales.
Yeah,
100%.
That's simple, right? The ability to deal with rejection.
And if you can't do that, you just start recruiting, right? That's the natural next step, right? You can't sell, you just start recruiting your friends and family to sell for you.
So that's right? Another thing. So that's another thing that drives me crazy. Because we don't really do that in PNC. In PNC, we do recruit people and tell them, like, the first thing you do is sell auto insurance to your family. Yes, we do that. But there's not this pipeline. It's not the you started selling exactly. We don't have that problem. That is another problem that I think just doesn't make any sense. If you if you've been a very successful life agent, then sure, start getting people under you, and train them to be successful doing it the way that you do it. But if you got licensed last week and you've sold a policy or two, and you're spending half your time or more in recruiting people to sell under you to do something you don't know how to do yourself, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It does.